So nearby Lucas. Bit of a different one today because you're actually here with me.
On camera.
On camera.
What's this, Karl?
Well, this is the start of a new series I'd like to try out called Out of Focus. And we have Fact Fiend Focus on the main channel, which is us zeroing in on a topic. Usually I myself am very passionate about, but this new Out of Focus, as the name suggests, is a bit blurrier in its definition. And it's us talking about something we both like, but don't quite remember all the way.
No, it's stuff that we've watched a ton, but not necessarily like in the past week. We haven't done prep work for this or anything. It's just something we both remember fondly.
And today we'll be talking about the Cornetto Trilogy. Which one do you think I'm going to be using because I'm editing this?
So if I look at one and you look at the other the whole time, both will be completely unusable.
Oh, for God's sake! Oh, he's got armor! Get him!
Lucas, what is your favourite then of the Cornetto
Shaun of the
Trilogy?
Dead.
Oh. Well, this discussion's a lot shorter than I thought it was going to be, folks. Join us again next time when we'll be talking about Matt. No. It's okay. So, to clarify for anyone who doesn't know, the Cornetto Trilogy, it's broken down to 3 movies, isn't it?
Yep, we've got Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and then The World's End, quite notably, like quite a bit later.
Yes.
There was a long tail where we thought we were never going to end that trilogy, but it finally happened. And
Yeah. And let's clarify for the audience then why it's called the Cornetto Trilogy.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, but
okay.
sure, I'll do the explaining. It's weird.
It's not as easy as it looks, is it?
No, it's not, definitely. So the Cornetto Trilogy is named that aptly because they get a cornetto in each movie. Or they don't actually in The World's End, I suppose. It's just at the end it's shown.
The idea of a cornetto is wafted by Nick Frost characters.
Each flavour and colour of said flavour is emblematic of the theme of the movie. So Shaun of the Dead is zombies, so it's strawberry, it's red.
It's a red cornetto.
Blood. And then the second one, Hot Fuzz, they get vanilla, I believe. Which is blue cornetto. Which again, like, you know, the police.
Blue could have worked for that as well. Maybe a red and a blue one. Maybe he should have double fisted and had a red one and a blue one. And then he should have gone like this. Like glow sticks either side.
And then
like
we.
Fire up the roof. That was brilliant.
And they are 3 completely different contradictory genres, only tied together by the fact they're comedies. So we've got a horror comedy, an action comedy, and then I'd argue World's End is not really a sci-fi film, it's a drama. It's a drama comedy. How do you feel about that?
I don't mind the idea of that, but it's more like, it's not necessarily a sci-fi movie, but the concept is aliens, I suppose. Like, and yeah, it's a bit of everything, that movie, and it definitely feels like it's got a little bit less of a proper identity.
But for me, I see it's a character piece about the character of Gary King. Because, fuck it, I guess we're talking about each movie now.
I guess so,
So we'll start, as you know, as you should at the end, with the World's End. And yeah, that film is it's so depressing. Because like all Edgar Wright, I watched them multiple times. Just that one gets more depressing every time you watch it. All the little details, which again are just a staple of that trilogy, just some of them really got to me.
Yeah,
like the one of like jokes he has the thing on his wrist.
You need help, Gary. I got help.
Of course, yeah.
And that's a concept I should explain for people who maybe don't know. Is like Chekhov's gun. And the idea is a writing trope where if you introduce something in one scene, it has to pay. Like say for example, a gun. That gun should be fired by the end of the piece, and if it's not, then the gun should not be introduced. And just every like film in the Cornetto Trilogy is full of them. And the one of him having the thing on his wrist that he's been to hospital, I thought for the longest time that's not really signposted. And it is, because there's bits in the film where someone tries to grab him by the wrist and he shits. He gets really mad about it. And you think it's just because he doesn't like that they're trying to hold him back.
He doesn't want to get touched or anything like that, yeah.
But no, and that's why he's wearing like long sleeves throughout the entire thing.
And I can't pick up any specific examples because, again, didn't know we were talking about this till like 5 minutes before we started, but that's the way we roll.
Out of focus.
Yeah.
You know, we're a little bit out of mind. It's not, you know, 'cause the thing in our mind is not completely in focus.
But yeah, like the moment where he's going and essentially recruiting everyone for the bar crawl, there's just little like reactions from each of them where he's talking about the past and like how things were, and there's just subtle bits where they're like, I don't think you remember
Yeah.
high school like we remember it. I don't think you remember like yourself the correct way.
A man of your legendary prowess drinking fucking rain. It's like seeing a lion eating some hummus.
Doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know if you're aware of this, Gary, but we are not teenagers anymore.
Yeah, and there's a lot of that in that film of the rose-tinted glass of looking back at your youth. Like, oh man, remember how big our hometown was? And that's something I've experienced, like growing up. And when I go back to my hometown, it feels so small.
Yeah.
And I meet the people who are the Gary King of my life, of just want to meet up with them in a pub or a nightclub or whatever. And it's like, oh yeah, remember high school? It's like, it's 15 years ago, mate. Yeah.
It's not maybe an alien movie, but I guess at that point they had committed to an alien movie.
And it's the same way saying like Shaun of the Dead is not a zombie movie, it's a romantic comedy with zombies in it. I think they even have that on the box. It's like a romantic comedy with zombies is the tagline. But like I feel the drama and the story in that is not as strong as it is in A World's End. Which is like,
it's way
like,
more.
The story's
it's
more
way
compelling.
More comedy.
Yeah, the story's way more compelling in A World's End. So the additional sci-fi elements I feel fall a lot more flat.
Nah.
And just like the moment all the robots turn up and start fighting, it's like, I don't want to know. I want to see more about these characters because these are really interesting, fun characters that I want to see more of.
Yeah, I agree. And that's the thing is, I don't think the World's End movie is as bad as like its reputation, maybe because it had to live up to great expectations of Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead.
Two of the most successful movies of all time. And while it's not my favourite of the Cornetto Trilogy, it is the one that I think impacts me the most.
That's fair, yeah.
I think it's the most important one. Like, it's the one that actually says something, as opposed to just being a straight-up homage / comedy.
Yeah, exactly. Because the other two movies are kind of like Edgar Wright showing his reverence for these other genres and, like, you know, just making fun movies that don't have, like, you know, too much to say. But I think The World's End is, definitely a reversal on that and just kind of doesn't have much in terms of the tropey and the comedy and things like that, but lives up in the drama.
And it's still a pastiche of the genre, it's just that there's not as much of it, because I feel that's when he was selling to his own direct sell. But you know what? Keep moving back to Hot Fuzz.
Stop! In the name of the law!
And this is the one, like, I think Hot Fuzz is my favourite.
Oh, okay.
Just because action movies are my jam.
Right, yeah, of course.
I fucking love action movies, and just something about Hot Fuzz, it's just so well done.
It's impeccable, yeah.
And all the references that it makes is exactly my kind of shit. And like, that is the hot shit right now. When they're like the John Woo, or the Two Pistols, like Point Break, and like, they name drop them in the film, and then they all get referenced, and it's like, then they have the gunfight at the end, but they still stick to that thing, like, no one dies in Hot Fuzz. No one dies. That's one thing I like about the films of nobody dies.
Alright.
People definitely... Okay. There's a guy that gets crushed with like a piece of a church.
Clarify. One of the things I like about the film is as well as being a homage to those old action movies, deconstructs them in a way where... So you have it at the end of it, it says, and now it's time to do the paperwork. Because he talks about them, and others, you're like, you never see them doing paperwork. Like, if you ever cause like a shootout, like, you have so much paperwork to do.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't be able to and one of the other things that's not mentioned in the film, but is clearly being referenced, is like, you can't just shoot people.
Well, I won't argue that it was a no-holds-barred, adrenaline-fueled thrill ride, but there's no way you could perpetrate that amount of carnage and mayhem and not incur a considerable...
One of the things about those action movies is, like, the heroes still are seen as heroic despite shooting hundreds of people over their career. And I like that in Hot Fuzz, every single person they shoot survives, and they have the montage at the end of them all, like, just there for the line. Or even the guy who has, like, his entire, like, jaw ripped apart.
Oh, God.
Besides, we have to do a considerable amount of paperwork.
Up to all those old action movies, but a deconstruction of them, and it functions well as both. And there's as much depth there as you like that you can take from it. Like, if you're like me and you just love that sort of things in regards to film, like you can spend all day breaking that down.
And, you know, ironically, you did break down something that kind of got you started on YouTube in the first place, or kicked off YouTube, because that was like your first viral video in the first place, wasn't it?
It was indeed. Hopefully this will be the first viral one for the Untitled channel. Hit that like. No, we're not doing that. We don't care about this one. Do we care?
Smash that like button!
Yeah! YouTube!
Fuck that shit.
What about Hot Fuzz? What do you think about Hot Fuzz?
I fucking love Hot Fuzz. Again, like, I staunchly just say Shaun of the Dead is my favourite, but like, Hot Fuzz is still fantastic.
And do you have like favourite moments from it? Like, what was the moment that lived rent free in your head? Or like the running gags. The one for me,
I think,
is the names of. Here's something you can go look at, folks. Every single named character has a stupid name.
Yeah, Mr. Peter Ian Staker.
P.I. Staker.
Yeah.
Right. Piss Taker. Come on!
Yes, Mr. Staker.
You were, Mr. Blower.
Well, now you see.
And it just culminates in like who are you? I'm Aaron A. Aronson. And it's such a stupid gag. Like, the fact that of all things takes him out at the moment cracks me up.
But when I did mention the two Andys, I do love both of them. Like, coming back in with just like the
Which was, it was ad-libbed.
Oh, was it?
And apparently, like, Edgar Wright only pissed himself and it really ruined the take. Because the actor wasn't supposed to do it. Joe just comes back in. He wasn't supposed to do it, but he did it because he was just mugging for the camera.
Yeah,
and
it's
like,
such a memorable moment.
Because he's just... It makes me laugh. And the other one for me is oh god, who's the plays the female police officer? Because she's got like an Oscar, so we need to mention her. We've got a lot, so we probably could do it right now. Let's have a look. Hot Fuzz. It's not just here for show, folks. There we go. It is Olivia Colman.
Yeah.
Oscar-winning actress Olivia Colman.
I've been around the station a few times.
Where does that lady? Because she runs for about 5 minutes. She's screaming with the knife.
Yeah.
And it's so long. And then just like the wet floor sign. Boom! And it might be the most powerful hit I've ever seen. So, we can't beat a bit of girl on girl.
Nice one, Doris.
Nothing like a bit of girl on girl.
Oh.
Like, she won fucking Academy Award. That's the thing. And she's having so much fun. And that, I can only imagine that was one of the most fun shoots for a film. It's just bolognese. It's like other bits as well. Like, I think one of the little ones that gets me, just because the sound design, is when Nick Frost they throw the bin at his head.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's so loud.
Just talking to them is an uphill struggle, innit, Dad?
Because it's a proper bin. Mm-hmm. It's just like when it twats, it's like, fuck off!
And it is such a good reveal about what's going on in the village, because it's them constantly trying to figure out, like, oh, you know, is Skinner the one that's killing them all and everything? And then turns out everyone that could have been a suspect was a fucking suspect.
Yeah, but they have that thing as well of, like, the traditional reveal, the twist. And it's like, oh, well, and he breaks it down and goes, well, no, we just wanted to win the village competition. It's like, you'd commit massive amounts of crime for something so stupid. It's like, yeah, of course the police would do that.
Yeah, we just wanted to be the best villain. I guess it is.
I want to give a big shout out at another moment that lives rent free in my head, just because I know like the backstory behind it is where Simon Pegg like double drop kicks that old woman in the face, and the story goes that scene was really very nearly cut. There's no fucking way I'm gonna have Simon Pegg like double jack boot drop kick an elderly woman in the face. And apparently, like in early screenings, everyone lost their shit and cheered, and he's like, "Okay, I'll get away with it." And again, it's all reference Chekhov's gun again. Of like, well, everyone's got guns around here.
Yeah.
Oh, farmers' mums.
Everybody and their mums is packing round there.
Like who?
Farmers?
Who else?
Farmers' mums.
Perfect. There's so many. It was like an onion or an ogre, I guess.
Yeah, and that's something that makes these three movies, all three of them, completely rewatchable. And like every time you come back and you're like, I missed that. The first 5 times I watched the movie, I missed that little
Something else.
reference.
Let's bring it then, like, to Shaun of the Dead. So your favourite one, so you can take the lead on this.
Yeah, Shaun of the Dead, good film.
Nothing more to say about Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead is a classic, like a cult classic, I guess, but it is a classic.
And it also has the rare distinction of being one of the few zombie movies to ever get a thumbs up from George Romero.
Yeah.
The father of the genre. And I know, before someone complains, he didn't invent zombies, but zombies as they are understood by fiction now, yes, he
I think
fucking
that
did.
says it all, doesn't it? Like, that's a George Romero approved zombie movie, and the fact that it's a comedy.
And it's a really good one.
It's a really strong comedy, and just again, like, there's so many layers to it. Like, you go back and you watch it, and there's like all those little moments at the start. They're all setups, and they're all telling the story before you see the story unfold. Of like,
you know what we should do tomorrow? Keep drinking. We'll have a Bloody Mary first thing.
Now, seriously, Mary, I'm warning you. Okay, I'm gonna have to get physical. I mean it. This is it. I'm gonna fuck off.
Have a bite of the king's head.
Philip.
A couple of the little princess.
Okay.
We'll stagger back in. Back at the bar for Sean's. How's that for a slice of fried gold?
Another element is, like, more so in World's End, but that idea of, like, hanging on to your past. And just Peter Serafinowicz is in the film for, like, all of 2 minutes as the best line of the entire thing, where he goes, well, we've had some laughs. He goes, oh yeah, and remember where we stayed up late drinking schnapps and playing Tekken 2? And he's like, yeah. He goes, that was 10 years ago. When's he going home? And it's that thing like, that's so fucking good. I'm like, yeah, it was what? When's he going home?
it's like, mate, Tekken 7's out now. Get relevant.
Like, next time I see him, dead. He is.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, oh, we'll go to the bar later if you want to come. And he comes.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Johnny, look who it is. Fuck a doodle doo.
all those little moments.
I think that shows how finely crafted these movies are, because
There's
I would say that there's just no dialogue wasted.
There is no fat left to trim on that film at all. There is not a single wasted line of dialogue. There's not a single line of dialogue that doesn't have 3 to 4 layers of importance to the story, or like referencing later. Everything's, and just like as well, some of the moments of just the throwaway lines. Like, one that still gets me to this day is, well, what happened to Philip, Mum? Oh, he got bit. Is he okay? We ran it under a cold tap, and that's like such a British mum thing to do. It's such a, like, do you want a cup of tea? It's like, no, I'm all right. I'll get you a cup of tea.
Like, as he's going to be like, I need to tell you that I need to murder your husband. She's like, how about a cup of tea? And he's there with the cricket bat, like, no, Mum, I need to tell you a cup of tea then, yeah.
It's such a mum thing, isn't it?
You must be more adult about these things.
Yeah. So you don't want to work in a dead-end job all your life, and then you look and you go to the end, and that guy working a dead-end, he's now a zombie, a literal zombie working in a supermarket.
Dead-end job, yeah.
And it's like, oh, everyone he's referenced, he's so good.
Oh, God.
You say that he's your favourite then?
Yes, yeah.
What's your favourite standout moment? What's a moment you just want to like single out as like that's the one for you?
I think throwing the vinyls, like, it is just the idea that what do you do when you're a normal guy and 2 zombies turn up in your fucking garden? And they're like, I don't fucking throw a hairbrush at it.
Yeah.
Like, throw like your kitchen utensils. I don't know what shot. Like, at vinyls.
Yeah.
Let's cut their head off by throwing vinyls at them.
And they have that great moment as well of it shows that one of the things I love about the zombie genre, which is 2 zombies on their own, not a threat. That's the thing. So everyone always says, like in Romero zombies, it's like they think what they want to do in that world. It's like, well, yeah, zombies won't be a threat. 'Cause when there's 2 of them, it's as simple as they can stand and have a conversation. Yeah. The moment there's more than that, or if they catch you by surprise, which they do multiple times.
Listen, I'm serious. I'm just come out of a relationship.
You alright?
Even though it's a comedy, it shows the danger that zombies pose.
Because, yeah, it even showcases how undangerous it is when Sean's, like, super tired in the morning and does his morning routine of going in the corner shop and getting his cornetto out and that. And he's just, like, too tired to notice that there's blood everywhere and there's, like, zombies around. There's, like, you know, a literal zombie that comes after him in the shop and he's just, like, completely nonchalant and unaware.
And it just shows that the danger of zombies is just if you lose that 1 second, like one moment where you're not concentrating, which he does, and that's what causes like every single bad thing in the movie. Someone not paying attention to the zombies, which they should be at all time. You know what, Luke? I know I'm a hot fuzz, so I think every moment in that film so good.
I mean, that's the thing.
I can't even think of a favourite moment. It might just be just when he gets twatted on the head by that bin of boom, fuck off.
There's a lot of people struggling it, Dad.
It's really hard to pick out a moment of those two movies, especially because I can't cope with how good those movies are.
Yeah.
Like, the fight in the model village is great.
He's great. Like, if you want to be a big police officer, fuck off that model village. And he does! So good! Yeah, if you want to do it, even do an outro. I was trying to say exit and then outro and said egg. We don't do it.
Go watch all those movies.
Yeah, and then come back and watch this again. We've got 2 cameras as well. I've got to edit this, so maybe people know we've got 2 cameras. How long's it gone on? That's what I'm trying to check. Can you see?
Half hour.
Yeah, it's like 29. Oh, perfect. Yeah, it ended there. Look.
I forgot that we had that half hour.
Yeah, but that's when we only have half an hour to do it. So. No, edit that down. Like.